So this is week 2 of our So Good series. Can I hear a So Good? So good. Yeah, see, we're good at that here. So this is a series where we're looking for gift ideas for the person who has everything, not bacon bandages. We're looking for the things that only Jesus can provide. And so thanks, Tom, for that and setting it up and making look Jesus that much better. He's really good at lame gifts. That's the thing. Yeah, so I just lost it, Noah, so you're going to have to take it. So what we're going to talk about today, though, is that we're going to talk actually about receiving. Because when it comes to Jesus, Tom pointed this out a couple of weeks ago, right? On every other birthday, that if it's your birthday, you get the presents. And if it's your kid's birthday, they get the presents. On Jesus' birthday, we get the presents. So he's like, wow, that's pretty generous. So we're going to talk about that today. And this whole thing about receiving. You know, if you've got close friends in your life, and they're gift people. Do you have gift people in your life, the ones that are planning way ahead? Do you know what they do? They walk through your house scanning for things that you lack, right? They're like, they don't have toilet paper. Done. Like, right? They just, that was awkward. But they're looking for things they think you might need, and they're like, right. So here's the thing. You need to put away all your tacky stuff a few weeks before Christmas so that when your friends walk the halls, they don't come to the wrong conclusions about what you need next. For example, that little 4-inch carved owl that you bought at the cottage last summer. Because if you don't, they're going to go, right, owls. And other people will notice the owls, and you'll get 46 owls this Christmas. You get the little glass-blown one that they want you to put in your china cabinet, and the 4-foot one with the motion detector with the eyes that follow you everywhere. Right? You'll get that. There'll be owls perching, owls flying, owls swooping, owls everywhere, hooing, and owls giving birth. I don't know what, just like all kinds of owls. And you don't want that, trust me, because you're going to have dreams about owls. And then next year, when people ask, so what do you want for Christmas? You're like, an exorcism. I just need to get these owls out of me. No, you're going to have to control it. So anyways, last week we talked about these gifts that I wanted to give you, and I said that I was going to give you light bulbs. So the joke is, how many people does it take to change a light bulb? How many electricians does it take? Whatever. Well, I said, let's flip that around and let's ask the question that's really more important. How many light bulbs does it take to change a person? Because life change happens in our lives when we, kind of freak out about things in our lives, and God challenges our thinking, and He gives us an idea, a perspective that we've never seen before. It's like, and from that moment on, we're a little bit different. So we're going to talk about light bulbs this Christmas. That's my gift to you. If any one of these light bulbs go on, your life will change. If all 4 of them go on, you're going to be a completely different person. So last week, we talked about the validation that only Jesus can give us, that no one can take away because He's the one who gave it. They can't take it. Today, we're going to talk about another light bulb. And as I was preparing for this, I always joke about singing and not singing, but I was actually thinking of a Eurythmics song. You know that Sweet Dreams song? And basically this idea of everybody's looking for something. So that's as far as it's going to get today with that song. But everybody's looking for something. So in this message that I'm going to talk about today, you're going to notice everybody's looking for something in this passage. So Noah, can you put the first one up for the first scripture? Here's this story, Jesus and His disciples, right? And they're going to walk through this region. Watch this. Jesus left Judea and went back once more to Galilee, and now He had to go through Samaria, which He didn't, by the way, because Jews routinely went around Samaria. Because that's where the people lived that weren't exactly Jews. The Samaritans lived there, and they didn't like to have contact with Samaritans, and so they would always go around, even though as the crow flies, it made perfect sense to go through. Jesus had to go through. We'll come back to that, okay? So He came to a town in Samaria called Sychar, near the plot of ground Jacob had given to his son Joseph. This is a little history from the Old Testament. So next one. Okay, Jacob's well was there, and Jesus, tired as He was from the journey, sat down by the well. It was about noon. When a Samaritan woman came to draw water, Jesus said to her, "Will you give me a drink?" And His disciples had gone into the town to buy food. Okay, let's pause there. So the disciples are looking for lunch. Everybody's looking for something. The woman's coming looking for water, and there's something else she's looking for that she's not quite articulated for. Jesus, it may look like he's looking for a drink, but actually he's looking for the woman. So she's the reason he had to pass through Samaria. And what's going to happen next? So everybody is looking for something. Okay, let's continue. All right, so the Samaritan woman said to him, because he had said, could you please give me a drink? You're a Jew, and I'm a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink? For Jews do not associate with Samaritans. There it is, right? Jesus answered her, well, if you knew the gift of God and who it is that asks you for a drink, you'd have asked him, and he would have given you living water. Next one. So, sir, the woman said, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where can you get this living water? And Jesus answered, everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again in this well. But whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. Indeed, the water I give them will become in them a spring of water welling up to eternal life. So Jesus is totally unpacking this thing, this gift he wants to give her, this light bulb he wants to turn on in her life, right? So the woman said to him, sir, give me this water so that I won't get thirsty and have to keep coming here to draw water. And he told her, go, call your husband and come back. Does that strike you as odd at all? He's like, okay, we're sitting on this well. I'm thirsty. Hey, how about you ask me for a drink? Because the water I have was going to satisfy every longing you've ever got. She's like, sign me up. Give me this water. And he's like, go call your husband. Is he changing the subject? Like, what's going on? Look what happens next. Look, it's weird. So she says, I have no husband. Jesus said to her, you're right when you say you have no husband. The fact is, you've had 5 husbands, and the man you now have is not your husband. What you've said is quite true. Just leave it there for a second. Oh, go back. Thank you. So when I said, like, just leave it there, it's like, leave it there. Okay, awesome. So he's like drawing her in to this incredible spiritual encounter, and then he pushes a button that's going to hurt. What's he doing to her? Like, he had her right there. She's like, sign me up. And he's like, go get your husband. And right away, the shame would start to rise. The hopelessness. The reason Jesus asked the question is because he knew it would take her to the very heart of her deepest longing in life. This is a woman who longs to be loved, longs to be treasured, and not just for a little bit. See, she's had that maybe before. 5 times she's had a shot at it. What she wants is a love that sticks. What she wants is a love that stays, that never goes away, because in this culture, she wouldn't have been the one to divorce her husband. So she's been left to dry 5 times, and finally she's going, you know what, screw marriage, it's not even worth it. I'm just going to live with you because you're just going to reject me anyways. So this is a woman who wants to be loved more than anything in the world. And Jesus is like, I want to give you a drink, but here's the thing. I want to pour it in the place of your deepest need. So I'm sorry about this, but I'm going to have to ask you a question that's going to crack your chest open, make you feel a little bit exposed, so we can talk about what's really going on under the hood, because that's where you need the water. This is the kind of God that we serve. This is Jesus at his finest. Now, first of all, he's saying stuff like this. He's saying, look, and this is what we need to get out of this too. Our deepest thirst is to be loved, and that thirst is every bit as important as our thirst for water and our hunger for food. He says you can't live without love. So that's the first thing. Second, look, just think of this. He's sitting on a well. This is so awesome. He's waiting for her to show up. You know, his father had shown him somehow, just park here and I'm going to send you somebody, right? And we're going to love him. It's going to be awesome. So Jesus is waiting there for this lady to show up. He's sitting on the well. And he uses what he's sitting on, and he uses what she's engaging in her life as a metaphor for what's going on under the hood. We're going to come back to this later. No, what's happening here is her love tank is empty. So we each have a love tank. If you could put this, I have to show this one before I get there. Sorry, no, we won't go there quite yet. So, okay, her love tank is empty, and she's hungry. She's thirsty for more love. She can't get enough love because everybody in her life keeps leaving on her, right? And here's the thing. So each one of us have a love tank. And this tank, it doesn't just hold love. It actually leaks, okay? So people put love in. Have you noticed this? One day you feel so loved, right? Your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your friends are like, oh, I feel so treasured, I feel so loved. And the next morning you wake up and it's gone. It's because your love tank leaks. And what she's been doing is she's been running from guy to guy to guy trying to fill her love tank. The problem is the guys that she's trying to get her love from, their love tank is leaking. Right? So she's trying to pull love out of these guys, and they're trying to pull love out of her, and sometimes it feels like she's just pulling up sand. Because you know how those old wells work with the bucket and the rope, and you got to pull it up, right? And so she draws up sand. The reason is the moment you try to get love from someone, it's not love. This is why it goes flat on you. Right? Because love is only love when you've heard this before, when you give it away. The moment you take it, it's not love. So we spend our lives trying to manipulate people into giving us love so we don't have to try and take it, because whenever we take it, it feels like something's missing. Yeah, because it's not love anymore. It can't satisfy. And there's so little love that we're getting from all these different sources. What Jesus is saying, sitting there on that well, on that stone rim on that well, as this lady comes up and she's drawing water day after day after day after day, she's saying, this well is a metaphor for what you've been trying to do. Each husband has been a well that you're trying to draw water from, and each one has dried up. The love dried up, and you got kicked to the curb. The love dried up, you got kicked to the curb. The love dried over and over and over again, and Jesus loves her enough that he parks himself on the edge of this well waiting for her to use it as a conversation starter. So just picture this. Picture this. Jesus is God in the flesh. He is love in the flesh, sitting on the edge of this well, waiting for a thirsty woman to come up who's love-starved. Right? So he's sitting here thinking, I want to pour my love into every heart. And Noah, this is where that next slide comes up. Because his love wants to go where it isn't. God's love is compelled. It abhors a vacuum. Whenever Jesus finds a heart that has no love in it, he's like, I got to get me in there. Because he wants to love us. He wants us to come to life. Something you have to know. So here's Jesus going, I have to find a way to get my love in this lady's heart. And she's walking up the hill going, I wish someone would just love me. Love me for real. Right? So then he's explaining. He's like, tell you what, I can give you a drink of my spirit that's going to become in you a spring of living water, and will satisfy every need you have. In fact, the spring or the drink I give you is going to become a spring. So you don't even have to keep coming back and back and back. This is a love that will not fail, because instead of having to go outside yourself all the time to draw the love that you need, I'm going to put it inside of you, right? So she's going, well, how do I get that goodness in me? Right? Yeah. And he's like, well, yeah, and how do I get my goodness in you? So this is what's going on. Just what I want to point out. So let's talk about these love tank things here again. So here's your heart, right? And people are dropping little deposits of love into your heart. Someone gives you a compliment, or someone says, you're really special to me. You get a little card, you get a text, oh, you're thinking of me. Someone buys you a pack of gum, whatever it is, and you're thirsting for more and more and more, right? Awesome. Except again, by the end of the day, next one, the love has leaked. And now you don't feel loved anymore, even though yesterday you felt loved. Am I reading your mail at all? Right? It's literally like we got the daisy. We're going, he loves me not. He loves me not. We do this all day long with everybody we know. Constantly. Well, I'm not feeling it, therefore it's not real, it's leaking, But then Jesus, next one, what he wants to do is he wants to give us a drink, and then the next one that, boom, becomes a spring. And guess what? You'll still leak, but it's okay because the source is inside of you, right? And so it never runs out. In fact, you'll leak all kinds of places you didn't leak before. It's called generosity. Right? You'll just be sharing love all over the place because you're leaking, and that's the point. He's like, how about we don't fix the leak because I want you to share my love. I want you to share my love. It's not just for you. Pass it on, pass it on, pass it on. So again, she's going, how do I get this goodness in me? He's like, yeah, how do I get this goodness in you? Okay, so the first thing has already happened. I mentioned it before. The first thing is that he's saying what needs to happen is you need to crack open your rib cage. In other words, you need to open your heart to me and expose your deepest needs to me. You need to be honest with what you're really after and how that attempt to fill yourself is not measuring up. Now, before I start this section, I just want to point to some of the church people who've gone, oh, I've heard this before. I've even heard Brad preach this before. What I'm asking you today is, do you feel like that on a regular basis? Do you experience the richness of God's love in an overflowing way pretty much all the time? If you can't say that, this message is for you. I'm not saying you're not a Christian. I'm saying that we need to figure out how to get that goodness in you. Are you with me on that? We good? Okay, so the first thing is admit it, okay? Now, here's the cool thing about what Jesus is doing. This is so humble. This is, again, God in the flesh, right? And he's sitting there on the edge of the well. He asks her for a drink. Why does he ask her for a drink? She said it herself. You don't have anything to draw with. So here's Jesus sitting 35 feet above a source of water he can't access. He needs someone outside himself to help him access the water. He doesn't have the means. He's saying, could you please do the work so that I can have a drink? Then he flips it around. He says, and let me tell you about another well. And in this well, you're the one sitting 35 feet above the water and can't access it, and it's living water. And this well, I need to do the work so that you can have a drink. Right? Is this brilliant? It's awesome. He's saying, look, I'm the one who's going to have to pay the price to pay for your sins so you can be reconciled to the Father. And then I'm going to rise from the dead, give you a new life, and I'm going to send my Spirit, which is the drink you're longing for, to come live inside of you. I will do all of that work. You don't have to do anything except admit, open your rib cage and go, there, that's where I need it. Hit me. That's your first thing. So there's three things we need to do. One's already happened. We've admitted that we can't fill ourselves, that our quest for love isn't satisfying, and that Jesus is going to have to do the work, not us. So we trust in his work, not our work. Okay? The second thing, this is the cool part. Let's just continue on with the passage. Noah. Sir, the woman said, I can see that you're a prophet. I can see that you're a prophet. Is she changing the subject again? Or is she right in line with what God's trying to do in her life? So here's what's happening. So he's like saying, here, can you get me a drink? Well, yeah, you don't have anything to draw with. Right. And you don't have anything to draw from on this spiritual drink I want to give you. And then just to make the point that he actually has the authority to say what he's going to say and to crack open a rib cage, he asks the husband question. Oh my goodness, he knows my deepest, darkest secrets, and he's still sitting here with me. He still wants to be with me. Right. So she's like, you've got to be a prophet. In other words, she's starting to realize, oh, we're having a spiritual conversation. Right? Now, Jesus said, the second thing we need to do, the second thing he said, if you just knew who's standing here, who's sitting here, and who asked you for a drink, you'd ask him, you'd ask me for the drink of a lifetime that you never have to drink again. In other words, the first thing is open your heart, let Jesus poke what needs to be poked so he can put the water where it's needed most. Number two, ask. We're told this several times in the scriptures. Just if you want more of the Holy Spirit, ask. He's a good Father. He wants to give you more. Why? Because it will satisfy your thirst and it will equip you to be overflowing with love and give to more and more people. Okay? So here's the second thing: ask. Now the next bit is this. I can see that you're a prophet. Our ancestors worshipped on this mountain, but you Jews claim the place where we must worship is in Jerusalem. Again, has she changed the subject? No. What it sounds like she's doing is she's like, oh, you're a prophet, sweet. While I have you here, I was arguing about this with my boyfriend. Okay, so the Jews say we're going to have to worship here, and you say I'm going to have to worship there, so which is it, right? This isn't what she's doing. She's actually understood where the conversation is going. She's realized that when Jesus cracked open her ribcage and her quest for life was exposed, that in order for her to get the drink she so craves, she's going to have to learn to worship the right person in the right way. She's realized that the hunger of her heart is a worship issue. And so she's like, hey, I don't know much about worship. I hear this, I hear that. Because she knows, I got to get this straight. It's about worship. Okay, so backing up again, Jesus is looking for the woman. The disciples are looking for lunch. She's looking for a drink, but even more than that, she's looking for love. Now watch this next piece. Jesus replied, a time is coming and has now come when the true worshipers will worship the Father in the Spirit. Remember, he's going to give us that Spirit. It's going to complete us and fill us and give us that love. And in truth, cracked open her rib cage so he could put it where it mattered most. So we're keeping it real, right? For they are the kind of worshipers the Father seeks. So the Father is looking for something too. He's looking for worshipers. And not to float his own boat. Not because his love tank's empty, but because his is the one that's overflowing. He wants us to worship him because he wants to fill us. Because that's the kind of love he has. Our only hope for feeling and being filled with the love of Jesus is worship, because worship is about how we give ourselves to what we value most. There's not a person in this room that's not a worshiper. You might worship your job, you might worship money, you might worship celebrity or status, but you worship something and you give your heart to that something because you're looking for something from that something. Do you understand what I'm saying? Right? And God's saying, look, if you want to be filled, I need to be that something. I need to be your number one. I need to be the one you worship, heart, mind, soul, and strength. Yeah, because here it is. God is not going to override your will. He is going to respect your distance. He's going to respect your distance. And God will not, cannot, because he respects our distance, fill what we don't give him. Right? So, man, you go to Wendy's, and you know that there's free refills at Wendy's, and so you get your cup, but at Wendy's, they don't have the dispenser on your side of the counter, right? So you get your meal, and you're halfway through your meal, and you run out of drink. And you go to the counter, and you go, I'd like a refill, please. And so you've done the right thing. You've admitted the truth. I need a drink. You've asked for one. That's number 2. And then they go, okay, give me your cup. And you're like, no. Dude, I can't give you a drink unless you give me the cup. I want to keep my cup. I'll try and fill it. I'll just walk around to some of the other people. Hey, can you give a brother a drink? It's like, no, it's not going to work, right? You're trying to get a drink from all the wrong sources. You're like, go to the front. It's weird. Stop it. So your dad is strange. Kid, come with me. So you have to kind of you got to give him your cup. You got to give him your cup, or there's no drink. Like, he'll give it back, or she'll give it back, filled to the brim, but you got to give it up. God can't fill what we don't give him because he respects our free will. So he's saying, look, this is why I want worshipers, because worship is about giving yourself to me so I can fill you. So yes, it is so good. You're right. So here's Jesus sitting on the edge of this well, And this lady's walking up and she's so thirsty. How do I get this goodness in me? I'll tell you. You give yourself to me because whatever you give me, I can fill. Whatever you give me, I can fill. Now, I don't know where you're at this morning in your life. I don't know what you're trucking through in your life. Most of us live kind of day to day with our heads down, plowing through, trying to get it done. And we come places like church where I hope that you sense sometimes you might be hearing from God. That's great. But here's a lady that heard from God right in the middle of her daily routine. She's coming at lunch because no one else came at lunch. They wouldn't come in the heat of the day. Some of you have heard this, right? They'd come at dawn or dusk when it's the cool of the day, and they do their work then so they don't have to sweat so much. She's coming there because she's been rejected 5 times, and all eyes are on her, and she feels judged. She's the village pariah, so she's trying to avoid those eyes, and Jesus meets her right in the middle of her pain, right in the middle of her day. Okay, so I'm glad you're here. You're like, God, speak to me. Hopefully you're going, God, change my life. Awesome. But I'm telling you that in the middle of your pain, pay attention to your frustrations. Pay attention to those places where you feel rejected, where you've lost that love and feeling, right? Those relationships that make you feel like you're rejected or you're not special enough or you're not important enough. Pay attention to your pain because I guarantee you Jesus is sitting at that well that doesn't satisfy. He'll be sitting on it going, hey, want me to give you a drink? Because the drink I give you becomes a spring. It becomes a well, and it overflows. You'll have more than you'll ever need. You'll never have to come back for refills. So pay attention to what God's doing in your pain. Look around when you're in pain. Look, Jesus, show me, where are you in this? And I guarantee you, he'll be there. And the answer won't be try harder. Your answer will be, he wants you to give yourself to him. Acknowledge that pain that just got stirred up. Let him crack open that rib cage and get that water in deep where you need it most. All right? That is light bulb number 2. And guess what? It's another one of those light bulbs. Look, if I'm not drawing my significant source of love from you, then if you turn your love off, you turn the tap off, I'm good. I'm fine. Because the spring is my source. And I'm going to be mostly full anyways. Like, you're the icing on the cake, right? You're the little bubbles on the top. You're not actually the substance of the love that drives me as a person. When Jesus completes me on the inside, then I'm free to start loving other people because even if you don't love me back, I'm still good. Oh, so can we just take the next 2 songs or so to walk through with Jesus? Here's my pain, here's my rejection, I don't feel loved by you, and give yourself to him. Hey, what I've been doing the last couple of days is, especially after I've been reading this, I've been so gripped with this story. I'm in the middle of something, I'm like, I don't know if I've given this to God. Here, have it. Fill it. Awesome. Hey, I just had a thought. Here's my thought. Oh man, that just stung a little bit. I give him my hurt. I'm giving him everything. I'm like, here, take it. Fill it. Fill it. Fill it. He's like, sweet. This is what I wanted. This is why I want worshipers, because I want to fill everything with my love and my glory. That can be you.